I don't think they're ready for this. This is different. A LA Ram podcast, not based in California, but based in Florida? Come on now. You know I had to do it. Ram Nation, stand up. It's Ramily Talk from the Playmakers Bar podcast, hosted by Darnell the Playmaker Silence. Let's talk Rams football. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your new edition of Ramily Talk from the Playmakers Bar podcast. You know me, your host, Darnell the Playmaker Silence, out here in Jacksonville, Florida, getting ready to talk about some old LA Rams football. Gonna quickly recap what took place in Week 5 against the Washington football team, and then we're gonna focus on the big matchup. The Sunday night matchup, Santa Clara, Levi Stadium, a rivalry, West Coast, San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams. It's going to be a good one. Our first divisional game. And plus, Tyler O's going to give you his Rams fantasy talk for Week 6. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Week 5, our third East Coast trip against our final NFC East opponent, the Washington football team. Now, if y'all recall, if y'all was listening last week, I was not pleased of how the Rams played against the New York Football Giants. They rectified that this past weekend against the Washington football team. Final score, Rams 30, football team 10, 20-point victory. I liked what I seen. Jared Goff, 21 for 30. 309, 2 touchdowns. He did throw an interception. Televised throw. He also had a rushing touchdown. I'm not going to hop on that. Kim Akers came back. He had 9 carries for 61 yards. Derrick Henderson, 15 carries, 38 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches, 30 yards, and a receiving touchdown. They got Everett involved. He had a rushing touchdown. He had 4 catches and 90 yards. Robert Woods had 4 catches, 71 yards, a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 5 catches, 66 yards. Looked good. The defense, led by Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald had 4 sacks. Troy Reader had 3 sacks. The team had 8 sacks total. The defense showed up against the football team. They only allowed 70 yards passing. The football team, only rushed for 14 times and 38 yards. So the defense showed up. The offense did their thing. A good performance all around. Nothing too much to talk about, by the way. It was nice to see Alex Smith return to the game of football after that horrific, horrifying injury he suffered back in 2018. It was good to see him step on the field. Too bad it was against us, but it was good to see Alex Smith to return. So, with that being said, I'm not going to harp too much on that. We did what you had to do. 4-1, 2 wins on the East Coast trip, 1 loss on the East Coast trip. We have one more East Coast trip in Week 8. We got to go back to the East Coast to play the Miami Dolphins, but that's in Week 8. Let's focus on the here and now. So we finna switch it up because it's our first divisional game of the season. It's on Sunday Night Football. It's a road game against the 49ers of San Francisco. Now, they didn't look good. They got blasted by those Miami Dolphins that I mentioned earlier. I mean, blasted. I think it was, 43 to 17, something like that. Oh, the Dolphins put it on them. Jimmy Garoppolo looked terrible. They brought in CJ Beathard. He kind of got them a spark, but it was way too late. Brian Fitzpatrick had his way with him. It was something horrifying to see if you're a 49ers fan. You did not see that coming. But now, as most teams in the NFL do, they're gonna bounce back from that. I have no doubt about it because it's Sunday Night Football. They got the Rams coming into town. I expect a better performance from Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers team as a whole. Now, they swept us last year. They swept us. We hung in there both games, but they swept us. The last game coming at Santa Clara, where we're going to now. Beat us by 3. I believe it was 34-31 back in December of last year. It's a new year. Now it's the last 2 teams who represent the NFC in the Super Bowl going at each other. San Fran did it last year, and the year before that it was us. Let's see how this goes. Right now, we are 4-1. The 49ers are 2-3. They are the home team, but we're the favorite. 3.5 favorite as of right now. So people are starting to come around back into the Rams world. It took them long enough, but they starting to come back around. It's gonna be a good matchup. It's always a good matchup when we play the San Francisco 49ers. It's always divisional games. It's hard to really predict divisional games. We have the 3rd-ranked offense. We are 12th in passing, 6th in rushing. The 7th-ranked defense. They have allowed 1 touchdown pass or fewer in 4 of the last 5 games. The secondary, led by Jalen Ramsey, John Johnson, has doing their job. Aaron Donald is getting that front 4 in the backfield to get the quarterbacks. And Aaron Donald already has 7.5 sacks already. We only played 5 games. This man already has 7.5 sacks. He's getting there. Darius Williams, he has 2 interceptions on the season. Jordan David. Now, even though stats says it all, Jared Goff is completing 71.7% of his passes, has 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He has a rating of 108.8. All really good. Henderson, 58 carries, 260 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, 7 catches, 92 yards on the TD. We can go over the stats. I can go over the Jimmy G stats. Complete only 60% of his passes. He has 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Raheem Mostert, 34 carries, 238 and a touchdown, 9 catches, 139 a touchdown. And we know about George Kittle, 23 receptions, 271 yards a touchdown. All this is good. Stats are good to talk about and all, but it's a divisional game. It's a rivalry. And it's on Sunday Night Football. Stats can be thrown out the door on this one. Literally, stats can be thrown out the door on this one, because we gonna have. This is the type of game right here to show the NFL, to show people watching the NFL, we are back, we are legit, and stop sleeping on us. This is step 1 right here. We got past our 2 cupcake, supposed to be cupcake, as people like to call it, cupcake teams. We got past our 2 winnable games. We got past the Giants, and we got past the football team. Now it's time, because after this, it's Monday night against Chicago at home. That's week 7. Before we head down to Miami for week 8. You want to send a message? This is the game. You want to put the word on notice? This is the game. They're starting to come around. But right here, at Santa Clara, Levi Stadium, against the 49ers, the defending NFC champs. It starts right here. Now, I mind you, I want to see how the running game goes. We got Cam Akers back. Derrick Henderson has been holding it down. Michael Brown's been the backup. I want to see, because San Fran has a top 5 rush defense. Matter of fact, I think they are 2nd in rush defense. They have a good rushing defense. You can pass on them. So I'm gonna see if Jared Goff can duplicate what he did against the football team. Can he hit Cooper Kupp? Can he hit Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds, Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett? Matter of fact, it might be a game. This might be a Van Jefferson game here, because we ain't been using Van Jefferson besides week 1 and 2. We haven't been using Van Jefferson. This could be a Van Jefferson game, because if we can't get the running game going, you have to move them safeties back. And once you move them safeties back, then you can run. So it might be a flip flop. So you might have to pass first to lead to the run. It's gonna be interesting to see the game plan for Sean McVay on our offensive side, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Brandon Staley does his game plan against Kyle Shanahan's offense. Because Kyle Shanahan's offense, he has Jimmy Garoppolo back, he has Raheem Mostert back. Now you got Jared McKinney, who had came back from that season, some of that season-ending surgery of last season. You still got George Kittle, you got Deebo Samuel back. Now their first games back, terrible against the Dolphins. That's straight out terrible. But now, with another week to prepare, I expect Jimmy G to look better. I expect Raheem Mostert to get back to being him. I expect Deebo Samuel to be involved more. I expect the 49ers to come out playing well. But I think we can outplay it. I think this is a game we can take. I think this is a game that we can take right here. I think we can win this thing. I think we can get to 5-1. Heading to our Monday night tip with the Chicago Bears at home. So, this is what I'm hoping. I need the Rams to show up. You gotta remember what this team did to us last season. Aaron Donald, get back there and put pressure on Jimmy G. Leonard Floyd, Sam Epicam, Morgan Fox, y'all join the party. Jalen Ramsey, do what you need to do against Deebo Samuel. The rest of y'all, focus on the rest of the crew. And whoever's sticking George Kittle, do your damn best to stop him. But not stop him, do your damn best to contain him, because it's hard to stop George Kittle. That man is a beast. Let's just call it what it is. George Kittle's a beast. But let's get 1-0 in the division. Let's get 1-0 in the division. San Fran already lost one division game already. They lost that to the Arizona Cardinals. This is our lone division game in the first half of the season. After this, we don't see another division game until after our bye week. 5 division games after our bye week. This is our only divisional game in this first half of the season. Let's finish it by taking 1-0 and dropping San Fran down to 2-4, and we go up to 5-1. Rams up, horns up. Let's go. It's Sunday Night Football. We got a divisional opponent, and we in their backyard. Let's show them we are back and we mean business. Let's get it, Rams. Let's get it. Whew. It's a big game. It's a huge game for us. The next 2 games are huge for us. You gotta feel it. It's San Fran on Sunday night. Then next week it's Chicago Bears on Monday night. There's some big games this week and next week. Let's go. It's time to put the world on notice about the LA Rams again. Now that I got that in and out my system. Tyler O, go ahead, do what you do. Give the people their Rams fantasy talk, and I'll be back to close it out.
Welcome to Week 6 of Rams Fantasy Talk. I'll be your host, Tyler Orginski. As always, this will be a quick one. I outlined how great of a rushing football team this is on last week's pod, but I'm going to do it again just in case you missed it. The Rams so far in 2020, 2nd in the league in rush attempts, 6th in total yards, and 7th in yards per carry, tied for 1st in total rushing TDs. And looking at this team from a pass-to-rush ratio, this team calls run plays the 2nd most in the NFL. And finally, they rank 1st in rushing offense DVOA. Basically what DVOA is it breaks down every single play of the NFL season to see how much success offensive players achieved in each specific situation compared to the league average in that situation. And then it adjusts it for the strength of the schedule. I know that was a mouthful, but it's a really cool stat, and it's even cooler that the Rams are 1st in the NFL. This is a dominant rushing football team. Now that we know that, taking that at face value, that's great for fantasy. But when you dive into the running back usage, it's still a bit of a nightmare. I'll spare you the usage stats because you likely already have an idea of how these running backs are being used. There's no real lead dog. It's a running back by committee, a three-headed monster. I get the backfield's a mess, but I'm going to try and make some sense of it. It seems like Darrell Henderson has been the primary back, quotations on primary, at 44% snap rate last week. He's led the team in snaps more often than not at this point. I know Akers was hurt, so it kind of eludes that, but it looks to me as they're starting to lean towards Henderson, and I'll tell you why. When things were close last week, it was a blowout that absolutely crushed the Washington football team. Henderson was in the game when it was close. Akers and Brown got their usage in garbage time. So when the game's close, Henderson's in. When it was garbage time, it was Akers and Brown. That is enough to give me a little bit of confidence to start Henderson this week. I think he's a solid flex play, but you still want to have Akers and Malcolm Brown on your bench, as this is a great rushing football team, and if something happens to one of these guys, God forbid, there's going to be a lot of value there. So Henderson's the start, Akers and Malcolm Brown on the bench. However, this week's matchup is not good for the Rams running backs. 49ers are 8th DVOA against the run this year, meaning they're the 8th toughest against the run. And the 49ers also allow the second fewest fantasy points to running backs on the year. At this point, you can reasonably expect running backs to perform below expectations against the 49ers. I get the Rams are a 3-point road favorite, but that's not enough to get me excited. All in all, with bye weeks, with injuries, you likely don't have the luxury to sit Darrell Henderson. In fact, I'm starting Darrell Henderson this week. But I can't say, it's a smash play. I can't say I'm walking into this with a ton of confidence considering the matchup's not good and it's a three-headed monster. But go ahead, put Henderson out there. I have no problem with it. Jared Goff's a funny one for me this year. Pretty wild, actually. He disappoints in 2 smash matchups against the Cowboys and the Giants, and then overperforms against the Washington football team, the Bills, and then the Eagles to a lesser extent. He currently sits as the QB9 overall in fantasy football, a solid low-end QB1. This isn't the 49ers of old. With the injury and as a whole, this defense isn't as scary as it used to be. It's still good, but not great. With a relatively high over-under of 51.5, and then I just outlined the fact that I think the Rams will have a tough time rushing the ball. Goff's definitely in play here as a low-end top 12 guy, which he is right now. Go ahead and put Goff in there. I have no problem starting Goff and Henderson this week. They both should be fine plays. I'm not raving about either one of them, but I'm not telling you to sit either. Woods and Kupp, the wide receivers, it's pretty straightforward. I expect them to perform well. I'm not going to have any crazy quip here any week at all this whole season if they stay healthy. You're going to start Woods, you're going to start Kupp regardless of the matchup, and you're going to expect at least wide receiver 2 numbers. It's that simple. I will say that if I had to pick one of the two to be better, it'd be Woods. The 49ers do allow 6 more fantasy points to outside wide receivers than in the slot. Either way, starting with confidence again. Josh Reynolds does seem to have won that 3rd wide receiver role on the team, but there really isn't much value there considering how much they're running the football. Can't really say I'd love to have Josh Reynolds at the bottom of my roster, but there's worse you could do, especially in deeper leagues. I went over a litany of reasons to trade away Higbee last week. Nothing has changed in his favor. He is blocking more. Gerald Everett is getting a decent amount of play. And the thing that scared me the most is Gerald Everett is out there on an overwhelming majority of 3rd and long situations. Higbee is still a top 10 tight end in terms of fantasy points, but I do not believe he will finish the year in the top 15 fantasy tight ends. So when the year comes to a close, when we saw that huge 3 TD spike week from Higbee, that's the best it's going to get. I don't expect a lot out of him moving forward whatsoever. So I wouldn't say if he does. He still does have value. He's a top 10 tight end. You could trade him away as a top 10 tight end, and that would be a fact. But I do not see him as that. So trade away Higbee. Guys I would rather have than Higbee rest of season. Tanyan, Goddard, Ingram, Hockenson, Hooper. I would take all 5 of those guys straight up for Higbee in a trade. That's all we got for week 6 of Rams Fantasy Talk. You can follow me on Twitter at FFTylerO. And don't forget, tell somebody you love them. Later.
Thank you for that, Tyler O. You got your Ram Fantasy Talk. I don't run over the San Fran game. Like I said earlier, shout out to Alex Smith, who came back from a horrifying injury 2 years ago back in 2018 to make his return last week against us. Praise and glory to you. Speaking of the prayers go out to Dak Prescott. That was a gruesome injury. Very, very gruesome injury, even though he's not Rams related. But You don't want to even not want to see anybody get hurt like Dak Prescott got hurt. So prayers out to you, Dak Prescott. Hope for a safe and speedy recovery. We'll see you next year suited up with the Dallas Cowboys. The Seattle Seahawks, they still on top of the division. They're undefeated. They got past the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. So they sitting at 5-0. We are at 4-1 behind them. Behind us are the Arizona Cardinals at 3-2, and obviously we played the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday night, who are 2-3. So that division is getting tough, and 4 of our next 5 divisional games is against Seattle and Arizona, with 1 remaining against the 49ers after this game. So we on the right trail. I like what we're doing. I like how we looking. Can we keep it up? We got to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But from right here, from right now, sit back, enjoy your football. We're gonna see how COVID is doing in the NFL. Thank God the Rams have been doing a great job of working with the protocols, and nobody in the organization has been contracted the virus since the season started. I continue to pray that continues on, because just now the Atlanta Falcons have multiple tests, so their facility has shut down. We're gonna see the status of their game on Sunday as they get ready to play the Minnesota Vikings. But we already had some schedule changes with New England, and Tennessee, and Buffalo, and so many teams so far. Thankfully, we ain't have to go through all that. So keep praying that our boys continue to do what they need to do to keep their health in check and everybody else around them in check. Until then, I'll be back next week to recap what took place on this Sunday night against the 49ers, and then preview the Monday Night Football tip with the Chicago Bears. Let's go, Rams.